Apparently, Meghan Markle is now on the cover of Harper's Bazaar. Okay, she's on the cover of Harper's Bazaar.
Meghan Markle, and to no one's surprise, it is the exact same stories and sound bites and tidbits.
And she's going, "Oh, what are you writing about?" I said, "Oh, she's given this interview to Harper's Bazaar magazine."
Meghan Markle sold her soul to the devil to get a cover, not on Vogue, which is the one that she wanted, but on Harper's Bazaar. Oh, bizarre.
Let's stick with Meghan. She sat down with Harper's Bazaar for another tell-all interview. Kinsey for the cover.
That is just what's happened overnight with this extraordinary cover feature on Harper's Bazaar with Meghan Markle.
Delusion on display. Meghan's new interview in Harper's Bazaar came out, and I want to talk about it, but we're not going to go through the whole thing.
We're going to dig into this one today because she is out there. She's cover girl now for Harper's Bazaar.
The First Lady of Montecito, Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle interview. She is one of the most disliked known figures. She has nothing new going on.
I mean, she's seen that some of this no makeup, natural look is playing very well for some other famous women.
This woman looks rough, aged, and this is in spite of all the airbrushing they did.
By the magazine editor that wanted to turn you into a star, that in their cover feature...
All right, huge disclaimer. We are not reading the entire Bazaar article because it was bizarre. And honestly, Meghan Markle is just, let me think about it. Delulu with the capital D.
Did Meghan Markle just prove in her Harper's Bazaar interview?
Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, it's revealed in a new interview given to Harper Bazaar magazine.
When you are important, nobody needs to introduce you because they know who you are. But of course, Meghan Markle has to have somebody announce her using the colonialist title. I tried to make my hair as
Oh, honey. Harper's Bazaar thought they were about to serve a moment, a comeback, a crown-polishing, jaw-dropping, she's still got it kind of thing. And Meghan? She walked in expecting fireworks, a full redemption arc wrapped in glossy paper, but when that cover dropped, oh Lord have mercy, something instantly fell off. Not because of the hair or lighting or pose. No. It was that invisible tension, that awkward energy that said, I'm trying too hard to convince you I'm fine. It was like watching someone smile through a crack in the mirror. The internet didn't need to scream or drag her just one look, and everyone felt it. That silence, that cold, quiet silence after the drop, that's worse than any scandal. The world just didn't buy the story she was selling anymore. And girl, even Bazaar knew. You know it's bad when the magazine itself starts whispering behind closed doors. Insiders were murmuring, this one missed. The editors, the stylists, they all knew something didn't click. And Meghan, poor thing, didn't see it coming. That quiet disappointment behind the scenes was louder than any headline. See, the camera has no mercy. It tells the truth even when the person in front of it doesn't want to. Meghan came to that shoot with a vision. Natural, soft, wise a woman reborn after the storm. But the camera, it saw right through the act.
Markle. Okay. She was British royalty. Meghan Markle was as high as you could get in British society and basically global society. I mean, we just saw they had a massive state dinner at Windsor Castle.
When those final photos came out, it was painful. That natural look just looked unfinished, not effortless. The soft light, it didn't whisper peace, it screamed exhaustion. Her face wasn't glowing, it was tight, strained, overthought. Like she was posing for forgiveness instead of just existing. Not a single frame showed ease, not one where she looked grounded, present, connected. You could feel the disconnect, like the image and the woman inside it were living two separate lives. And the worst part? The camera caught that tension. She didn't even know she was showing the kind that comes from trying to prove something instead of just being. For someone who built her empire on poise and confidence, these photos screamed insecurity. For someone obsessed with control and polish, every image was a crack in the glass. She wanted rebirth. What we saw was déjà vu. And then, when people actually read the interview,
is the exact same stories and sound bites and tidbits that she has said at least 3 other times. There is not one single new anecdote in this interview, if you can believe it. I have read it, skimmed over it very quickly.
Lord, it was like the visuals and the words were fighting each other. Now, let's talk about Harper's Bazaar itself. It's not just a magazine, baby. It's a whole operation. When a cover works, it's instant fireworks, shares climb, celebs repost, stylists cheer, PR teams light up the group chat, but this time, crickets. Inside Bazaar's offices, the mood turned icy. They were staring at those engagement numbers like, oh no, nothing was moving. The buzz was flat, even influencers didn't touch it. They knew this wasn't art, it was awkward. And the readers? They didn't call it bold. They didn't say fresh. They just didn't say anything. Silence is the loudest kind of failure. Editors started scrambling. Maybe the tone was off, maybe the direction missed, maybe the concept needed rethinking. That's industry talk for we flopped. But behind the polite words was the truth. It didn't work because it didn't feel real. People can smell fake from a mile away. Even the author of the piece who bent over backward to make Meghan look good had to admit something felt weird. She was announced as the Duchess of Sussex, he wrote in a private brownstone, just 2 people in the room. That tiny line said everything. This wasn't evolution, it was performance. And girl, let me tell you, the problem wasn't the makeup or the outfit or the set. It was Meghan herself. The version of her that showed up wasn't the one she thinks the world sees.
The Duchess of Sussex! Someone in the scrum announces. And those flippers, I mean, how can a woman who is 5'2" have such big feet?
Every answer in that interview was wrapped in PR silk. Polished, empty, rehearsed. She spoke of boundaries, peace, growth, the same buzzwords she's been selling for years. But her life doesn't match the story she tells. Privacy? She's everywhere. Peace? She's constantly in headlines. Reinvention? It's the same act in a new dress. That's the dissonance. People can't unsee the gap between what she says and what she shows. And the way she speaks, baby, it's a performance. Every sentence slow, poetic, carefully weighted. It's not lived truth, it's dialogue. The words sound deep until you realize they're hollow. She's playing enlightened woman on autopilot. Elegant, yes, but empty. Like someone reading their diary out loud for applause. The tone that was meant to sound soulful ended up feeling cold. When Pamela Anderson went makeup free and owned it, people called it powerful. When Meghan tried the same, it came off as calculated. It's like she wanted that raw rebirth moment without actually living the pain behind it. The energy was off. The whole thing screamed, I'm trying to look genuine, not be genuine. And that's when the real cracks started showing. Because when she started talking about Harry, that's when it got uncomfortable. Every wall she built with those pretty polished words started to crumble. When Meghan talked about Harry, everything changed. Up until then, she was calm, PR, perfect. But the second his name came up, the words got heavy, like she was reciting lines from a script she'd memorized a little too well. She didn't talk about love or admiration. She talked about protection. About how he sees threats, she doesn't. How he loves her so boldly. Sweetheart, it sounded less like romance and more like dependency. Like he's the life jacket keeping her afloat in a sea of bad press. It didn't sound mutual, it sounded uneven. And remember, Harry's been open about his struggles. The man's sensitive, reactive, carries the world on his shoulders. So when she framed his vigilance as her safety net, it painted a picture she probably didn't mean to. It looked like he's the one doing all the emotional labor, holding the weight while she shines in the spotlight. She said, "No one in the world loves me more than him." It should have sounded sweet. It didn't. It sounded like a confession. Then came that moment. Lord, that moment in the New York brownstone that told the real story. No cameras, no crowds, just a journalist, a quiet house, and Meghan entering like she's walking into Buckingham Palace. The house manager announces her out loud, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Girl, there were only 2 people there. Who was she performing for? That's when the writer knew. That's when we all knew. She hasn't let go. She can't let go. The title, the ritual, the validation, it's her oxygen. And that's the tragedy. She says she left the royal life to find peace, but she still clings to its shadow. That's why those photos felt off. That's why her expressions looked haunted. Because deep down, she's still fighting to keep the crown alive just without the palace. She wants Hollywood's freedom, but misses royalty's reverence. She wants to be one of us, but still introduced like one of them. She's caught in between 2 worlds. And baby, you can't serve 2 masters. You can't claim liberation while holding on to a throne. When the writer described that Duchess announcement, readers gasped. It wasn't arrogance, it was sadness, because it showed how far she's drifted from herself. The photo shoot, the interview, the tension, it all circles back to that single truth. She's not reinventing, she's replaying. Every pose, every quote, every breath was a desperate attempt to hold on to a disappearing identity. And you can see it. The Duchess without a kingdom, the performer without an audience, the woman who can't stop acting even when no one's watching. By the end of that article, everything clicked. The problem wasn't Harper's Bazaar, it wasn't the camera, it was the confusion inside Meghan herself. She wants to be royal and rebel, graceful and gritty, Hollywood and humanitarian all at once. But baby, the world can feel that confusion. It leaks through the lens, and that's why the cover flopped. Not because of lighting or layout, because it told a story she hasn't accepted yet that she's lost in between. The new Meghan doesn't exist, because she's still trying to drag the old one with her. Harper's Bazaar didn't just admit the cover failed, they admitted something deeper. The audience is tired. Tired of the same narrative, the same buzzwords, the same misunderstood Duchess Rising Again act. People don't want another chapter of the same old book. They want a real story, not a recycled one. And this time, even her fans felt it. The silence said it all. No outrage, no drama, just exhaustion. That quiet kind of disappointment that settles when you've seen someone play the same role too long. Reinvention isn't about words, it's about transformation. But Meghan's still performing her pain, not healing it. That's why this moment hit harder. Because people didn't see growth. They saw déjà vu. She gave them soft lighting, serious eyes, poetic quotes, but no soul. The Duchess mask is slipping, and what's underneath isn't clarity, it's confusion. The Harper's Bazaar cover didn't just expose her, it exposed the truth she's been avoiding. Until she chooses who she really is, she'll keep repeating this loop every shoot, every headline, every comeback that isn't one. And that, darling, is the saddest story of all. And you know what makes it even more heartbreaking? This wasn't some big public failure with chaos and memes. No. This was a quiet collapse, the kind that happens when people just stop caring. For someone like Meghan, silence hurts worse than scandal because she doesn't feed on negativity, she feeds on attention. She wants the talk, the debates, the praise, even the outrage. But this time, nothing. Just a polite scroll past. That's when a public figure realizes something has truly shifted. Behind the walls of her Montecito mansion, you can bet her team scrambled. Crisis meetings, PR calls, re-edits, maybe even brainstorming a new narrative. Because when the world stops reacting, the brand stops breathing. And Meghan's brand, darling, has always been built on reaction. Every photo shoot, every vulnerable interview, every teary-eyed quote about growth and healing, all of it designed to spark conversation. But people don't want conversation anymore. They want authenticity. And that's the one thing her image can't manufacture. Somewhere deep down, I think she knows it. You can see it in her eyes in those photos, that tiny flicker of awareness that the world she's built is slipping through her fingers. She's trying to hold the title with one hand and grasp Hollywood spotlight with the other, but both sides are slowly letting go. Royal life doesn't want her back, and Hollywood's already moved on to fresher faces with fewer complications. The magic she once carried, that mix of mystery and rebellion, it's faded. Not because she's done anything terrible, but because people have stopped believing in the act, and that's the real tragedy here. Because buried beneath all the branding, there probably is a woman who's tired, lonely, and desperate to be understood. But she keeps showing us the Duchess instead of Meghan. The performance instead of the person. Every time she tries to reintroduce herself, she brings the crown along. Every time she says she's healed, she poses like she's proving it. It's not malicious, it's habit. She doesn't know how to be unguarded anymore. So yes, Harper's Bazaar may have called this their weakest cover. But what they really exposed was a truth bigger than any headline. Meghan's not just struggling with image, she's struggling with identity. And until she finally stops performing for the room, there'll always be that awkward silence where applause used to be.